Oh, here's the world's smallest violin playing just for James Comey, who has just been indicted for lying to Congress and obstruction of justice. And I just want to say, we have a message for you, Jimmy.
No one is above the law.
No one is above the law.
Nobody is above the law.
No one is above the law.
That no one is above the law.
Nobody's above the law.
No one is above the law.
No one. No one is above the law.
Oh, no one is above the law. Yes, it is something that we have heard the Democrats say time and time again. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy Friday. And it's finally happened. James Comey charged for lying to Congress over the whole Russia gate. Remember, it was like 2 years, millions of taxpayer dollars. All that time, we were told a whole bunch of baloney about how Donald Trump was a Putin stooge. None of it was true. And after all these years of people trying to weaponize the justice system against President Trump, they've dug into his entire life. Remember, they looked for his taxes. Oh, release the tax returns. We're going to find something on this guy. This guy is like so good. This guy has such a clean track record. They can't find anything. They go for Stormy Daniels. They impeach him twice. They marched him in to get a mugshot in Georgia. Remember, they thought that would be the end of him. Oh, we're going to get the mugshot. We're going to plaster that everywhere. He's going to be too damn embarrassed to do anything else. Oops, that didn't work. They raided his home at Mar-a-Lago for the classified documents, went through his wife's underwear drawer for the classified documents. That didn't end up sticking. Oh, wait a second. He was the one who was the leader of the violent insurrection of January 6th. Well, that didn't end up being such a violent insurrection after all. Tried to blame him for that. It was completely endless. And now he is finally getting actual justice. And by the way, I know there are a lot of people who are saying this is just him, maybe getting them back, so to speak, for what they did to him. Well, he was asked if he was worried about retribution from the Democrats. Here's what he had to say.
Are you worried now that the next time there's a Democratic president, they will indict your FBI director or people in your administration?
That's what they tried to do, right? They did it with me. For 4 years, they went after me. They went after me for 4 years, and that doesn't include the 4 great years that we had in the White House. So when I ran it from, 2016, when we won, it began before I got to office. You know that. Wait a minute. Before I came to office, I started hearing rumors about Russia. I said, what the hell do I have to do with Russia? Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And by the way, these people have not even stopped. You will still hear them refer to Russia collusion as if it was a thing that happened. It never happened. They made it all up. You remember Donald Trump talking about, it was like right after he was elected the first time. And he was talking about the Obama administration spying on him. And they, what a crazy conspiracy crackpot. No, that ended up being true. We have proof of it now. All of the things that he says are happening, are taking place, all end up coming to fruition, regardless of what they want to call him, what kind of conspiracy theorist they want to paint him into. He's just right about everything. As his hat says, which I am upset because my producer was like, do you have a Trump was right about everything hat? And I was like, no, because I went to the website several months ago specifically looking for that hat. Steven, do you remember?
I do.
I said, I want the Trump was right about everything hat. I need that hat. I need to inject it into my veins. And I went to the website and it wasn't there when I went there. So I need to go look and see if it's back because I don't know where the hell it went, but I really need that hat. And I refuse to go. I'm not going to go buy one on Amazon. So don't tell me in the comments. I mean, make sure to comment, but don't tell me in the comments to go buy one on Amazon. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to buy one from China. I don't want to buy one from someone else. I want to support my president. But it is a fitting hat for today because he was right about everything. Remember, he called James Comey leaking lion James Comey back in 2019. He's called him that for a while. Oh, turns out that's coming to fruition too. Now, by the way, President Trump, he teased that there may be more names to come with all of this. Watch.
Who is the next person on your list in this retribution?
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats, because Comey essentially was he's worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
And he is absolutely correct about that. By the way, I'm told they are back in stock. So go get one. I'm going to this weekend. But you've got James Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Obama himself. I mean, the list goes on. Hillary Clinton. The list goes on of people in these documents. Tulsi Gabbard released for all of us to see. In these documents, we saw with our very own eyeballs how they concocted. This was the whole point. The whole point was to concoct this Russia collusion fictional story, even though they knew with a high degree of confidence that it wasn't true, and release it so that Donald Trump's name was sullied, so that Donald Trump wasn't the one who ended up winning. And then so that they could impeach him 2 times over it. This was all part of the plan. And so knowing what you know about the liberals, gaslighting the rest of America, you would expect that because this was all part of the plan and because we know that it was truly intentional and because we know that these are the true criminals, this is not about retribution at all. This is about course correcting. This is about the fact that if there are actual criminals in high places in our country who are conducting themselves in this manner, who are fabricating stories, who are leaking it to the press, who are character assassinating people to manipulate and meddle in the election. Remember, we were told that meddling in the election is like the worst thing you could ever possibly do. And I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying it's a pretty big meddling to try to paint Donald Trump as some Putin stooge when you know that that's not the case. But all of these Democrat criminals were behind it. This is not about retribution. This is about accountability. And so because they are such gaslighting fools, you could expect that these liberals would be in meltdown mode. Oh my gosh, Trump the tyrant. How could he possibly do this? We've never seen this type of weaponization before. Now, all of a sudden, you can weaponize the DOJ and the FBI and all these government agencies. But up until this very moment, it was never done, could never possibly done. Let's read this Wall Street Journal headline. You got to listen to this. Justice Department officials are racing to obtain criminal charges this week against former FBI Director James Comey, escalating President Trump's unprecedented efforts to prosecute his political foes. Unprecedented. It is totally unprecedented for the President of the United States or for an administration, for high-ranking government officials to go after their political enemies. That is news to me. Oh, hold on. Yes, I think... Okay, we have a clip coming in, I'm told, of James Comey from 2021. Roll the tapes.
Convict him, bar him from future service, have the local prosecutors in New York pursue him for the fraudster that he was before he ever became president, lock him up for the garden variety frauds he did there, but don't give him that center stage, that dominant role in our national life just down the street from where Joe Biden is trying to heal this nation.
Oh my God, poor Joe. But Joe Biden's just trying to heal this nation. He was just trying to heal this nation when he locked a bunch of people into federal prison in, like solitude. When he arrested pro-lifers for peacefully protesting. When he called half the country MAGA extremists from what appeared to be the depths of hell. That was just healing the country. But let me give you one more. Letitia James from right after Trump's election.
We did not expect this result, but we are prepared to respond to this result. And my office has been preparing for several months because we've been here before. We faced this challenge before, and we use the rule of law to fight back. And we are prepared to fight back once again.
We know. We know, Tish. We know. We know because it was, of course, you guys who were unprecedented in your fight against Donald Trump. It was you guys who had the 91 indictments, the 34 felony counts. I'm not crying, by the way. I'm just almost coughing. It was you guys the whole time. It was you guys who decided to do some extra gymnastics to try to figure out how you could take a misdemeanor to a felony. It was you guys the whole time. It was you. So it's really cute for the Wall Street Journal to be like, this is unprecedented. We've never seen it before. We literally just got done, bro, with 4 years of a presidential administration or a regime, as I like to call them, who weaponized every single government agency against half the country because they believed in President Trump. Spare me the drama. Because unless you're willing to say, oh, actually, that already happened, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, especially when you are talking. I mean, we've seen the documents. These people were lying. These people planted this stuff from the very start to meddle in elections. What do you think, that there should be no accountability for that? Of course there should be. Now, take that and juxtapose it with what President Trump has ever done. They were like, oh, he miscategorized a business expense. Let's throw the man in prison. I mean, give me a freaking break. Now, I want to play Joy Behar from The View. You know, I know. I can't stand them either. But it's one of those interesting moments where you think for a second, like, oh, is she actually, she's going to be reasonable? She maybe is coming to our side. Oh, okay. Well, no, she's still retarded. But let's play the first part of this. James Comey. Joy Reid is like, I actually agree with President Trump.
You know, I don't like Comey. I agree with Trump on this one.
So you're like, oh, wait, you agree with Trump on this one? That's interesting. But then there's the other shoe that drops.
You don't like Comey because of what he
I don't like what he did to Hillary.
Joy.
I don't like what he did to Hillary.
Yeah, so therefore he should be prosecuted.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I rarely
argue that he was,
but I rarely have something that I agree with Trump on. So this is one thing.
But you don't like him.
But Joy, some would say he's doing his job, James Comey.
What, at the last minute to bring out this baloney baloney thing?
Some would say he was doing his job.
I'm going to drink.
So she's saying she likes it because she still holds a grudge because James Comey said that they were still investigating Hillary Clinton during the 2016 election right before Election Day. So, of course, these liberals have learned nothing. And they're just like, no, I like it because he's punishing a guy that I don't like. That's what it comes down to for these people. It's really, really disgusting. They've just learned nothing. They've learned nothing. And they should be punished because they are the real criminals. Not for any sort of retribution, not for any sort of revenge, but because they are the real criminals. Now, there was one cute little, I don't know, silver lining of this. You know, last time we saw President Trump and Elon Musk together, they were at Charlie Kirk's memorial over there in Phoenix. And I also found it interesting. Elon Musk siding with Trump seemingly on X. He posted this cool shell formation found on Beach Walk. And it was, of course, the President Trump, those of you who are listening on audio, it's President Trump arranging seashells to say FAFO, which is a callback to James Comey's 8647 seat. Oh my gosh, I was just walking down the beach and I just saw these really crazy seashells. It just happened to say 8647. I have no idea what that means. Can someone tell me what that means? Look at these. That is so weird. I didn't arrange them. I just found them like this. Give me a break. This could not happen to a more deserving guy. He sat there in the dark, in secret, trying to pursue endless witch hunts against Donald Trump. After he was gone, he continued spewing disgusting garbage, some of which you heard, about Donald Trump. That he needed to be thrown in prison. He needed to not be able to run for office again. Oh my gosh, we gotta throw him in prison, lock him up, throw away the key. It just couldn't happen to a more deserving guy, okay? And I hope that he is just one name in a long list to come of people who deserve justice and accountability. We're counting on it, President Trump. All right, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, and hit the like button. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us. And, you know, we were recently remonetized after a 2-year hiatus, but they're doing everything they can behind the scenes. I'll put it that way. Oh, I mean, we love you, YouTube overlords. And make sure that you comment. It'll help us as well. Want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is there for those of you who, you know, maybe you've got like some everyday pain. Maybe it's back pain, knee pain, neck pain, whatever the case may be. What you don't realize when you're putting on like the icy hot or whatever the hell it's called, you're rubbing it on and you're like, ooh, it's cold and then it's hot and that feels good for 10 minutes and then you're in pain again. Don't do that. Try Relief Factor. They've got it's an all-natural anti-inflammatory. So it's very, very potent anti-inflammatory. But it gets the root cause of your pain, which is the inflammation. So imagine just like not even having to rub a topical cream on there that's going to mask it, but actually getting the problem done with at the root source. Try the 3-week QuickStart. It's less than $1 a day, so $19.95 to see if you can get out of pain. 70% of the people who order that go on to keep ordering more. That's how many people it can work for, or that's how many people it does work for. So the odds are in your favor. It's going to work for you, and then that can change your life. ReliefFactor.com is where you can get that 3-week QuickStart. It is ReliefFactor.com. Joining me now, we have, it's a real treat. We have Matthew Peterson, Blaze Media's own editor-in-chief, along with co-host of Blaze News, The Mandate, in studio, in the flesh. I'm happy to have you here.
I just abandoned my own show for this.
I know.
It's Friday.
I expect nothing less.
We're going to have a good time.
Yes, we are. Damn it. Also joined by Eric July, Blaze TV contributor and founder of Ripaverse Comics. Thank you for being here as well, Eric. So James Comey. Isn't it so rich listening to the leftist media be like, this is unprecedented. It's unprecedented that a president, here it is, unprecedented efforts to prosecute his political foes, that Donald Trump, as if we haven't lived through the years 2021 through 2025, in which Joe Biden weaponized seemingly every single, I can't think of a government agency that he didn't weaponize. And yet, this is unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, it's a boy who cried wolf scenario, and no one cares. Like, no one cares.
Literally.
I mean, every single tweet they put out is, you don't even have to say it, like, oh, this is hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Every single thing they're saying is, you just see it falling flat, I think, Eric. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter anymore. And you just see everyone kind of Chad meme, like, we don't care. We don't care.
You can call us all the things. You can call him a tyrant. You can call him literally Hitler. You can call him a fascist. You were doing all of that anyway. So really nothing changes for us other than justice and accountability, which is what this is all about. I played a clip in the last segment of a reporter asking President Trump, which I thought was important. They were like trying to, in my opinion, trying to frame the question as a gotcha, because they were like, well, who's next in your retribution list? And it's like, all right. This isn't retribution. It's just that we've been gaslit for the last 4 years. And these are the real criminals who have been committing the crimes this entire time. So if you want to call it retribution, call it whatever the hell you want. But we have eyeballs and we can see what they've been doing. And it's just not okay, because if they don't have accountability, the next criminal Democrat administration to come along, God forbid we ever have another one, they're acting like they never want to be in power again, but I'm sure it will come along. Then they're just going to do the same thing, and no one has learned anything because they've been taught that you can do all of these things and get away with it.
Well, generally speaking, when they start talking about what precedent things set, or maybe talking about others' hypocrisy, I've discussed this on this show, I don't know, many a times, where I talk about how they try to weaponize the economic rights, morals, and ethics against us. These are not values that they themselves follow at all. So what they're attempting to do, and what they've been rather successful with over the last decades, was saying, well, you shouldn't do that because you believe X, Y, and Z. Meanwhile, they'll contradict themselves from a statement that they made yesterday if it meant punishing their political enemies. So now what you're seeing, I think, is really a change with the quote unquote right in America, where they're finally like, wait a minute, we don't really care. We don't care what you're going to say about us. You really didn't need precedents to start doing all of the things that you wanted to do to us, punishing your political opponents before. Why are we listening to you? We don't care. We're going to now do what we want to do. And you're seeing that they really don't know how to act once they realize that they can't really weaponize those sets of morals against you anymore. Because now they're like, well, wait a minute, we called you a hypocrite. That's something that you value. Right now it's like, call me what you want. Yeah. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what? What are you going to do about it now? And they're like, we don't really have a backup plan for this. So I think this is playing to win.
Which I think is unique to the MAGA movement. I hate calling it that. I feel like it reduces the meaning. The America First movement is what I should say. Because for so long we had all of these like neocon boomers who were like, but we must play by the rules, even though they're not, because we would be stooping to their level if we didn't play by not only the rules, but also the precedent and the standards in which we've set, where you can't like raid a former president's home over classified documents. You can't indict a former president 91 times. You can't charge him with all of these things that they went on to do. And the Republicans for so long were like, we have higher standards than that. Well, where the hell did those standards ever get you? And so to your point, Matt, I think that it is unique in this America First, Make America Great Again, whatever you want to call it, movement, where people are like, yeah, you know what? We just don't care. We don't care if you're going to call me a hypocrite. I don't care that I had these people regarding Charlie's death. I said, if your pastor did not mention, I didn't say preach, I didn't say worship to, I said, if your pastor did not mention Charlie Kirk this weekend, you should find a new church. And I had so many leftists who wanted to tell me about Christianity, and it was abundantly clear they had never picked up a Bible in their life. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you lecture me. I'm just done. I'm done with you lecturing me. I don't care what you have to say. We need accountability, and I trust that this president is going to fulfill that.
Yeah, I mean, is anyone here a Chiefs fan? I hope not.
No.
Okay. It's sort of like it's a losing mentality. So it's sort of like you're the losing team. You're playing the juggernaut, and there's the rules are established by the winner. And so you're like, oh, I have to play by the rules. It means I can't touch a certain quarterback or get even close to him, or otherwise they'll throw a flag. So I have to play by the rules, and maybe if we just do that really hard, we'll win.
Right.
Or you are seeking to win, in which you say, I'm going to take the penalty, but Patrick Mahomes is going to get what's coming to him tonight, right?
Yep.
And that's sort of that's writ large what's going on now, which is the reason you followed the rules before is because those people were in charge and they had power and you were afraid of it. And what you see now is an ascendant right that's saying, I don't care. I'm trying to win. And guess what? If you think this was unprecedented, wait till you see the 5 more indictments that we need happening.
Right.
And really, the crowd is crying out for this. The base wants it. The majority of Americans want it. I don't know how large that majority is, but it's a majority because they just want to see justice. And they're not going to be, cowed. They're not going to be cowed out. They're not going to bow down to this crap. Yeah. And it's done. It's over. So that rhetoric is not going to work. And of course, that means we're in a way even more difficult and serious situation, right? Because there's actually going to be conflict between various powers and interests now, And that sadly is why you see violence breaking out all over America.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of that violence, let's get into more of that after the break. But we want to thank our sponsor quickly, Kindred Harvest Teas. So I just had some of their immunity tea this morning. I don't know if you guys can tell. I've got like some sniffles, and it was delicious. But as I was drinking it, I was thinking, not only does this taste great, but it also, I can trust that it didn't come from China, because that's the thing with teas. If you guys like tea, you go buy a tea from the store, and I'm not going to name any names, but if you're going to like the big supermarket and buying the tea, most likely that tea is made in China. And so it's got microplastics, it's got heavy metals in it, it's got toxins. It is not what you think that you're getting. And by the way, Big Pharma doesn't care about any of that, because the sicker you are, the better for them, the more money they make off of you. That is why I drink exclusively Kindred Harvest. This is real all-natural tea, blended and packed right here in the United States of America. No microplastics, no heavy metals, and you know that because they're third-party lab tested, okay? So go check them out. 100% biodegradable, heat-sealed, glue-free, ink-free. It is the cleanest tea out there, and they've got all different types of tea. Go check them out. It's kindredharvest.co. Use promo code Sarah for 20% off. I have loved everything I've tried from them. Like I said, I had the immunity today. I had the cinnamon apple the other day. I have loved all of it. Go check it out if you like tea and you don't like microplastics. kindredharvest.co. Use promo code Sarah for 20% off. That is kindredharvest.co, promo code Sarah. So in light of all the violence that's happening, exclusively one way, yes, I said it, exclusively one way lately, President Trump is now signing a memo targeting left-wing terrorism. And yeah, it's only going one way, despite what the blowhards at MSNBC and CNN want to tell you. And I want to play President Trump on this. Watch.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups, and when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, probably know.
Now, as much as the left wants to tell us, after one of the most influential people of our time was assassinated in broad daylight, that we need to turn down the temperature, I just wonder when they plan on doing that. Because, you've got over there in Houston, you've got a Halloween setup in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood where the decorations include 4 mannequins, 2 wearing red hats depicted hanging from ropes on gallows, all with a Mexican flag on top. Just like, that's like the icing on the cake is the Mexican flag. And then that third mannequin there that you guys see, I know that you guys are who are listening on audio, I'm trying to explain it to you. He's dressed in a poncho and straw hat, standing over a 4th suit-wearing figure that is tied up on the ground next to multiple coffins. I think all I needed to tell you was the men with the red hats have been hung. So you tell me who needs to turn down the volume, because let's go over to Chicago, where is this where Julio is?
Yeah.
Okay, so over in Chicago, there are more attacks against ICE agents. Even though, we just did this here in Dallas. Someone got killed. It wasn't the ICE agent, and here is the footage that Julio got of these crazy people swarming an ICE vehicle trying to get into the facility in Chicago. And then they had to be dispersed with rubber bullets and pepper spray. And I just, let's talk about turning down the temperature, guys. Let's talk about that. Maybe you guys should stop doing things like this and yelling, shoot ICE. I believe we have a clip of that as well.
Shoot ICE! Shoot ICE! Shoot the
It's both sides though, right? It's both sides. We just got to turn down the temperature on both sides.
That footage is from Julio Rosas, who is there today for Blaze News, and he actually interviewed one of these people. You can go to Blaze Media and read about it. Go to our website. But he cornered one of them and said, "Why were you saying this? You were yelling, 'Shoot ICE.' Is that what you believe, or why do you believe that?" And he said basically the person just begged off. It's like, "Oh well, I didn't really mean it."
You're kidding.
So you have to wonder. You have to wonder here. Some people do really mean it, though, and we're allowing this to happen across the country. And you have to wonder at this point, is this going to end anytime soon?
Right.
I don't see any reason for it to end. The logic of this is baked in for a smaller segment, thankfully, but a serious amount of people who are. This is going to increase because no one is saying no, and until law enforcement really takes over and really starts to crack down, there's no reason for it to stop. I mean, it's like something Jack Posobiec's been saying online, been saying since 2020, which is like they're not going to stop until they're stopped.
Yeah,
this is just going to keep going, and then we were talking, Eric and I, a little bit beforehand about this. I keep thinking to myself what a haunting quote from someone I heard yesterday, which is that for these people, we're already in a civil war. Right? I mean,
I just said that yesterday.
This is exactly. This is. For them, it's already a civil war they're engaged in where they are insurrectionists. They are yelling to shoot law enforcement for enforcing the law, and they have started shooting.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally what I said this over the weekend. I said this. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. It really doesn't. If you don't want civil war, it really doesn't matter if the other side has already determined that they are at war with you. It really doesn't matter how you feel about it. And they clearly have already determined that. And I just have to say, Eric, I want to get your opinion as well, but I just have to say, if I am the ICE agent who's driving that car, I'm not going so slow. I mean, I'm really like, it's like I'm clearly trying to drive. I'm trying to get through. If you are impeding traffic, I would have reasonable suspicion to fear for my life.
Oh, kidnapping, so I'm out of there.
I mean, they just shot up an ICE facility in Dallas. You mean to tell me you don't think that a court would be like, yeah, I could understand why the ICE agents feared for their life because these people are out to get them and they're crazy and they're lunatics and they will shoot to kill and they're literally yelling, shoot ICE. If that's me, I'm like, you know what? Maybe my foot goes on the gas a lot harder than this guy. I mean, I guess God bless him that they had more patience than I would, and maybe that's why I'm not an ICE agent, I guess.
Yeah, we were talking about, like you said, we were talking about this earlier, and it is a harsh reality that I think a lot of people don't want to accept, that something's been levied kind of upon you, whether you want to be a part of it or not, and you're kind of forced to react. You can't really afford to be an idealist. Mm-hmm. You can't afford to just kind of pie in the sky like, oh, well, all is gravy, when it's not. You're only setting yourself up for failure once you do that. And yeah, there's a significant amount of people who are in this country that want another significant amount of people severely harmed and or killed. I think just the sheer range of what you see as far as their political violence should let you all know kind of what types of folks that you're dealing with. It's not just the president. It's not just someone that works in in Congress, which we've seen violence happen upon them. And the same thing happened. Like everybody was giggling when the neighbor started fighting Rand Paul. When he's trying to mow his grass or whatever. Everybody's giggling. I'm like, but you had the side that was justifying that or essentially making fun of that, making light of that. And I was like, this is them telling you, or shooting up the baseball game and all that stuff that had happened. This is them telling you where they're going with this.
Right.
And then when someone actually, you have like an attack on the top dog, which is the president, and then you have someone like Charlie Kirk, who isn't a politician at all. Yeah. So this is a wide range of it's an ideological thing. They despise people that really aren't with them. That's really what it boils down. It doesn't really matter what we call ourselves or the political labels that we like to throw out there. They lump us all in the same little box, and they want us eliminated, right? And they've made it abundantly clear that they want us eliminated. And I think a lot of us are like, well, we want to be civil and we want to be respectful. This isn't the country that we grew up in. And I think, yeah, you kind of answered your own questions there. We aren't in the country that you grew up in, and you are dealing with a bunch of lunatics who unfortunately have been raised. Definitely we see how these young folk that are involved in this, they have been raised to despise us.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, especially when you look at, and again, I am going to tell you this. I think that everyone who is on the left, who is very quick to call out Republicans and President Trump and use the rhetoric that they have used in the past, if they have seen what has happened in the last several weeks, and they have not given one single solitary statement condemning it. One single solitary statement saying we shouldn't be doing this. One single solitary statement telling any of their own that they need to stop doing it. They are also culpable. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. I'm not saying they pulled the trigger, but I'm saying these people feel empowered and emboldened because anytime anyone wants to come out and call Donald Trump a Nazi and call Donald Trump a fascist, they all cheer. And then someone gets killed and nobody has anything to say. And I find that to be really ghoulish. I really do. Because I see a lot of people on social media, and they're part of the problem as well for not calling it out. Police your own already. Because guess what? They're going to have to be policed. And you're not going to like it if the other side has to, God forbid, go out and do something like that. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Make sure that you follow Matthew Peterson and make sure to check out theblaze.com for more. Make sure that you follow Eric July. Check out ripaverse.com. And then coming up, speaking of political violence and things getting heated, you are not going to want to miss my next guest. We'll be right back. Well, even as we are still processing our friend Charlie Kirk's death, his legacy lives on in just so many ways. And people are taking up his mission to have tough conversations and, try to find middle ground, which is, of course, what was always so important to him. And I want to play a clip of Charlie's. I think one of the most important clips that we could play because he's explaining in his own words, and it's so true, what is the danger when people stop having conversations even when they don't agree?
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assaults. The left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put it on the internet so people can see these ideas collide.
And he always said, we have to have civil conversations because when we stop talking is where the dangers really lie. When we stop talking is what we have to really be afraid of. And that's what my next guest was trying to do, have a civil conversation. And he was in turn chased off of campus by an angry mob. We played this yesterday. David Khait was part of the group doing this fearless debate tour. They were on the campus of Tennessee State University, an HBCU, trying to talk about DEI. And seemingly, I can't wait to talk to him about this, seemingly having a good civil conversation when things just took a U-turn really abruptly. But I want to play here's what led up to it.
You can't stop people from being racist on an individual level, unfortunately. It happens in every country, on every continent, all around the world, and it has since the beginning of time. But what you can do is make it illegal to institutionalize it by saying, you can't allow you have to allow everybody to eat at your restaurant. You can't not admit people based on their color. You can't prioritize people based on their color, etc. And I would say that I would say getting rid of DEI works towards that objective.
So, y'all had say make America great again. How do y'all feel that America is not great, and how do y'all feel that America can be great again? And when was it great?
Yeah, I would say that the most recent example of America being great was the first term of Donald Trump. And then we had 4 years of Joe Biden in chaos, and then Trump is president again. So this is his campaign hat for his, lead up to his second term.
And there's where the trouble begins. And there she goes, takes off with the sign. And then there's a lot of world star hip hop going on.
Guys, we're literally just here to have civil discussion.
This is so embarrassing. Joining me now is David Khait. part of the Fearless Debates tour. David, thank you so much for joining me. I want you to fill in the blanks here, because we played this yesterday. We watched these people. We watched you guys having what seemed to be a civil conversation, and then all of a sudden it just kind of took a turn. Was there something that led up to that, or was it escalating behind the scenes, or these women just were like, nope, we're just going to walk up and just start some stuff?
Thank you so much for having me on, Sarah. I mean, you pretty much saw everything, because we don't edit anything. We don't cut anything out. We decided after Tennessee State University called what you just saw, the behavior that you just saw, professional and respectful. We thought that the best thing that we can do on our end is just release the raw footage. And we're going to continue releasing it. We have plans today to release our interaction with the police, because the Tennessee State University just keeps lying and just pushing out blatant lies. The only thing that you may have not seen is what you didn't hear when we sped it up, the video we sped up. We were having very civil conversations. The Fearless Debate Tour is all about civil and tolerant discussions on college campuses, something that Cam and I have been doing for well over a year at this point. And in the light of Charlie Kirk's assassination, we got together and we thought that right now is the best time to do two things. One, to show that when terrorists try to terrorize us, we're not going to let them do that, especially when it comes down to our freedom of speech in the public square. But the second thing is, which I think is the most important thing, our side is very angry right now, rightfully so. But that doesn't mean that we should scoop down to their level and resort to violence, because we can still use our words, our freedom of speech to engage with them. And I think that's important for my side to see, but it's important for their side to see that even when we're at a most vulnerable moment, where we're the most pissed off that we've been, that we can still resort to words rather than violence, because we live in 2025 in America. We don't live in barbarian times where they used to do that. So the only thing, just to go back to your question, what you didn't see is what you didn't hear, which were about 20, 30 women who decided to arrive and to straight away start yelling at us. It was a little heckling at first, but then they immediately started yelling at us, and everything escalated fast. Within another minute, another group of 20 students came, and then it became just a mob mentality at that point. They went from just yelling at us, telling us to get off their campus. They started to use racist threats against us. I made the comment yesterday on Jason's show, because it's the one comment that really stuck out to me, was, hey, white boy, you don't want to be here in 5 minutes when I come back with that thing, right? When I hear those kind of threats, I don't take it lightly whatsoever. So everything that you saw in that video leading up to that moment, the only thing that you didn't see is what you didn't hear because of us speeding it up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching this, and I'm watching how they, chased you, how they were throwing things at your car when you were leaving, and then more specifically as well, when they come in and rip your signs. And I would love to hear you say more about how you feel like the police handled it, because I felt like they should have stepped in way sooner. And when they did step in, they seemed to be, again, I'm going to let you characterize it more than me, because I understand I wasn't there. But on camera, it sure as hell looks like they are very casually, leisurely walking in to a much more escalated situation than they seem to want to deal with. It didn't feel like they gave a crap about you guys at all. Is that accurate from your end?
I don't want to say everyone, and I also just want to put it in the context that it was in. It was 6 campus police officers. So this isn't even local police, including one of our private security. Our private security is very professional. He was overwhelmed by the amount of people there. It's not 20, 30 people. It's over 100 people violently circling around us. And as you can see, stealing our property. So how did the police handle the situation? Probably the best that they could have, except there's a couple things that I criticized them about. An individual had a screwdriver that I thought that he pulled on me 10 minutes into this situation. But when we looked at the raw footage a couple of days ago, the scariest thing is that he had that screwdriver out the entire time. It was just slower than when you have so many people around you, you don't really pay attention to everything. So that's frightful on my end. I only noticed it once he took a couple steps towards me and put it above his head. But the reason why I want to thank the police in this situation is because when they first came there, we immediately thought that we were going to get kicked off campus, right? Because just to put it in the context, every single school that we've been to 6 different states, they all have relatively the same policies. We go to public universities. This is our taxpayer money that pays for it. And regardless of that, it's public property. Yeah. People walk their dogs at night that are non-students through campus grounds all over the place. In Atlanta, Georgia, they do that. So it is our right to go to these universities and set up a table and have civil conversations with individuals. We let the schools know beforehand, but with Tennessee State University, we called them 10 times and it went straight to voicemail. We're not going to back down just because the university obviously doesn't want us on campus with them. But the cops didn't come there to kick us off campus because we didn't have a permit. You can hear in the tape that we're going to release today, I asked the cops, are we being kicked off? They said, no, we respect the First Amendment. Let me call my supervisor. Massive respect right away. And that's all on tape. For the next 5 minutes until more police officers arrived, the campus police officers, the supervisor, it became more and more violent. I refer to the violent threats, right? At the moment that I noticed the tool, the screwdriver, I let the officers know that. And then I immediately went to my crew and I said, hey, listen, guys, we have to pack our things up. No more negotiating whether we can stay on this campus or not. If they're already using violent threats, they're pulling tools on us. I don't want to be there when they start to do something else and escalate the situation even more. Before I could even finish saying that to my friends, the cops made the decision that for our own safety, that they need to escort us off campus immediately. I showed them where my car was parked. It was about a 7-minute walk there. And we were rolling on live the entire time, and that's public. It's on my Instagram. So anybody that wants to see how they treated us after stealing our property in terms of how they followed us, I say marched. We literally led a 150-person march to my car. And I told the officers they can't follow in my car. I don't want them to see my license plate, obviously. But regardless of that, they won't probably let us leave the parking lot if they follow us all the way to the car. But they looked at me and they said, hey, there's 6 to 8 of us. There's over 100 of them. We can't stop them. So I'm just painting the picture for everybody. Sure. Once we actually got to the car, it was crazy. They were banging on my car. They keyed my car. They dented my car. They threw drinks in my car. And what pisses off us the most, and it should piss everybody off, is how Tennessee State University referred to this behavior, again, as professional and respectful manner.
You're not there. There we have the quote right here, the press release. At all times, TSU students conducted themselves in a professional and respectful manner. Well, you know what? If that is what TSU deems to be professional and respectful, I don't think anyone should ever send their children to that school. They clearly are teaching them nothing except how to behave like wild animals. David, I so appreciate what you guys are doing. The mom in me is like, please stay safe. I get it, and I'm with you, and I plan to not be deterred from any of my speaking events as well, because I think that they're very important right now. But please just be safe. And I would ask the audience, go ahead and follow David and Cam, follow what they're doing, Fearless Debates, on social media. I know you guys have links in your bios where you can help support them, support what they're doing, because they need security. They need to make sure that they are safe, and you can help them do that. So make sure that you are following them on social media. David, thank you. Keep up the conversation and the great work.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you. All right, and that is it for us. Before I go, I want to make sure to thank my youngest son. It is his 5th birthday today. Thank you for making me a mom again, and happy birthday. You are just the apple of our eyes. Happy birthday to our baby, and we'll see you on Monday.